Good morning everyone. Good morning children. How are you? Are you fine? Hope you are fine. And this is the second segment of our recording of the topic that we are going to start the topic. One topic from political science again. This time we are going to take federalism, because the last time actually we have done this with power sharing, and federalism is very much linked to power sharing. Before going to start the power sharing or explaining power sharing, or we'll discuss the power sharing, I'd like to tell you what are the objectives of the power sharing. So why do we do this chapter called federalism? Federalism is a form of power sharing. And why do we study federalism? Because federalism tells us how states and center and states work together to satisfy the needs and aspirations of the society, how the states mutually cooperate to make what we have the democratic country of India, that is what we call Indian democracy. And this federalism, actually learning federalism, it can sensitize the children how our states, many of our states have been created on the basis of linguistic lines, and how these linguistic states actually contribute to the growth of strengthening our federal system and federal structure. This is what the objective. The final objective is how in our own little way you children can contribute for the growth of cooperation, coordination, and help in the democratic participation of our federal ideas and practices. How the children can do, what the children can do, what you can do. Well, anyway, that you need to know about what is the meaning of federalism. We'll start with the meaning of federalism. What is federalism? The word federalism means a country where at least there are two or more levels of government does exist. Means at least two or more levels of government exist in any country. And powers are divided among these two or more levels of government. And see, all these powers has to be divided on the basis of a written constitution. It means that this division of power, this separation of power between center and states, or any other organs, or any other levels of the government, that has to be constitutionally guaranteed, constitution written down. So this division of power among state and center is written down in a constitution. And this kind of arrangement is known as federal system. For example, before 1993, Belgium was working as a unitary country because there were units, there are states, but the federal government or the central government in Belgium was enjoying all the powers. And states are subservient, are subordinate to the center. Means states do not enjoy any kind of power in the Belgian system before 1993. And after the 1993, that we have already discussed this point in the last chapter, between 1970 to 1993, during these 23 years, the Constitution of India, the Constitution of Belgium, was amended 4 times to make Belgium one of the best federal countries in the world. Right? Fine. Now we'll start. Yes, before understanding the federal structure, federal system, you must know actually what is a unitary state or a unitary system. A unitary state is that state where there is only one level of government, and all the powers actually enjoyed by that level of government. That was usually, that is the central government. And states might exist, but the states do not enjoy any kind of power. They are subservient, subordinate to the central government. For example, the United Kingdom. United Kingdom may have these units of the states, but the government of United Kingdom enjoy all the powers, and the units do not enjoy any kind of power. They are subordinate to that. But in a federal system, the units are not subordinate. They stand with equal on footing in power vis-a-vis to that of the center. Means units are not subservient, not subordinate. They enjoy equal power with that of the center. For example, here in United States of America, for example, this is the best example of federation because all the 50 states of the United States of America enjoy equal power. Now we are coming to the features of, we'll discuss about the features of federalism. What are the little actually we have discussed about the definition of federalism. Now we'll find out actually what exactly makes a federal country. What makes a country federal country? One, very specific. Let me point out these specific features. One, there are at least 2 or more levels of government that must exist in the country. Minimum 2 levels of government has to be there. Otherwise you cannot call it as a federal country. Number 2, there must be a division of power between these different levels of government. Number 3, jurisdiction among these levels of government has to be fixed relating to legislation, lawmaking, that is lawmaking, relating to taxation, relating to administration. Number 4, powers of each of the government are clearly written down in a constitution so that there shall be no dispute as to who is enjoying which power. That is why there is a clear-cut mention of these powers being distributed or divided between these different levels of government. And this basic structure of the constitution, I mean these provisions of federalism that is written down in the constitution cannot be easily changed by any one level of government unilaterally. What does it mean? These basic features of federalism cannot change overnight by any level of government. For example, in India, any part of the constitution, especially related to the basic structure of the constitution, if it need to be changed, that can only be changed if a bill is passed with 2/3 majority in the both houses of the parliament and it's ratified by at least 50% of the states. So this is little difficult. Number 5 is there must be an independent and impartial judiciary. Why? Because wherever there is a division of power, division of even the property at your home, where there is a distribution, there is a dispute. So because of this division of power between central and states, there are chances and probability of disputes. So to resolve these disputes, we need to have a judicial system, and that is why we need, or a federal system need, an independent and impartial judiciary. You know already that because this is the a thing that has already been taught to you in the class 8th and 9th. Independent and impartial judiciary means the courts are free from the control of executive and the legislature so that they can give justice or judgment without the influence of the government or the executive or the legislature. And then only they can be expected to deliver judgment free from bias, prejudices, or being influenced by anybody. That is called impartial judgment. Right? And one more thing. This might be the last one but not the least one. See, people living in a federal country, they must have the mutual trust with each other. People living under different levels of government, or the government themselves at different levels, must have mutual trust, and they must have shared values which they must respect, and they must have the agreement to live together. Because there are times actually when it comes to distribution of power, whether it's a revenue distribution, whether it's a legislation, whether it's lawmaking, whether it's anything, jurisdiction of each level of the government has been fixed. Yet there are times when it might start some kind of disputes, and such disputes can only be solved not by the judiciary but by our mutual trust with each other. Right? One more point that actually I have forgotten to tell you, that revenue distribution among each of the government has to be also completely earmarked, so that which government, which level of government will collect what kind of taxes, that has to be fixed. Right? Next, the types of federation. See, if you check about the roots of federation, federal country or the federation comes from 2 roots. One is coming together federation. Under coming together federation, what happens is there are small units. Small units come together, they join their hands. They wanted to create a bigger unit for their safety, for their security, and for an international identity as well. That is why This kind of federation is called coming together federation. And under coming together federation, let me underline this, all the units enjoy the same power. All the units enjoy the same power. For example, the United States of America. All the 50 states in the United States of America, they enjoy the same power. So units in the United States of America, the states in the USA do not become subservient or subordinate to the center. Means states work independent of the center. This is what actually coming together federation is. Now the second one is holding together federation. Under the holding together federation, actually the units or the states are held by a powerful center, which actually enjoy the ultimate power, more power, if you compare to that of the states. For example, in India, states are created out of the country, and the states enjoy power that is much less than the center enjoys. Hence, states are subservient and subordinate to the center. Here the states work obviously in many fields, in many ways, independent of the center, but they cannot refuse or turn away the instructions, the directives given by the center. It means that states are not completely independent of the center. States have to work in coordination with the center. At the same time, they have to see that the central instructions, directives are not neglected or ignored. And this kind of federation is called holding together federation. Here, for example, India, Spain, Belgium, these are the holding together federation. Let's see now. I claim, you claim, everybody claim that actually India is a federal country. Article 1 of Indian Constitution says that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. Means that nowhere it is being mentioned that India is a federal country, but union of states means it is an organized body created by, or a political organizations created by number of states, all the states together, right? What makes India a federal state? One, we have, let's check out, go for a reality check. We'll tally these Indian features with out of the features of the federal country that we have just discussed now. One, do we have at least 2 levels of government? Yes, we have. We have 3 levels of government. Central government for the entire country, then states for each of the state level, and there are also local government, both in the rural areas and the urban areas. 1. 2, and there is a division of power among the center, states, and even local bodies also enjoy certain power. These powers, this division of powers are mentioned in a written constitution, that we have a written constitution. And you know that actually India has the largest written constitution in the world. It means each level of the government actually enjoy separate jurisdictions. The revenue distribution, lawmaking distribution, or the legislation, etc., of each of the government is completely earmarked, and that is written down clearly in the constitution. So that no level of government will try to interfere into the other levels of government. But let's check actually the other points as well. Do we have an independent impartial judiciary? Yes, we have an independent and impartial judiciary. See, the independent impartial judiciary actually works as an umpire, Whenever there is a dispute between the center and state, it is likely to have disputes. Center and states may have chances of disputes regarding power distribution. It happens in federation. In any federation it might happen. So in India it might happen as well. And moreover, India has a holding together federation, and the central government is enjoying more power. That is why there is more likelihood and a possibility that the central government enjoy more power. That is why the states may claim, blame, or may conflict with the center for more power. Sharing of revenue collection between the center and states is also fixed by the constitution. How much power regarding the collection of taxes, expenses, expenditure, etc., that has to be also clearly earmarked by the constitution, and that was done. That is done by the constitution. Who will collect what kind of taxes? Next, but there are also another features which may not go in sync with a federal state. For example, there is a division of power between center and states, but the division of power between center and states is not equal. There is an unequal division of power between center and states. What does it mean? While center enjoy more power than the states, some states enjoy more power than the other states. some states enjoy more power than the other states. Even some units do not enjoy any power. Right? And every federation have a dual objective. So do we have. So we have in India as well. What is that? Protecting the national unity and respecting regional diversity. Protecting the national unity is an important part, an important ingredient, an important idea every federation is based on. And at the same time, we must respect regional diversity as well. India is a country known for regional diversity, diversity in language, diversity in culture, caste, religion, place of birth, region, etc., etc. Now we'll see that actually how the division of power takes place in India between the center and states. What is division of power? What is the meaning of division of power? Do you know what is the meaning of division of power? Powers are divided between center and states or among other units, other levels of government. That is called division of power. And we have already discussed that, how this power is being divided under a written constitution. So, division of power in India happens constitutionally. It was guaranteed in the constitution. And this division of power, this is also called legislative division of power, or division of legislative power between center and states. And this is popularly known as threefold division of legislative power between center and states. In India, these powers are divided into center and states under three lists. This arrangement is being done so that each level of government will have its own and fixed area of jurisdiction. For example, number one, the union list or the central list. From this list only the union government can make law. It has 97 items or the subjects, and all the subjects are of national importance or international importance. For example, defense, foreign affairs, currency, etc., etc. These subjects comes under the national government or the central government, and all these powers are enjoyed by the central government only. Means central government will make law on these subjects. Then the state list. This list is prepared only for the state governments. State government will make law from the state list only. And this state list has 66 subjects. Subjects like agriculture, trade, commerce, police, etc., etc. are within the purview or the jurisdiction of the state government. Means state government will make law on these subjects. Then there is another list. This list is called concurrent list. This list consisting of some powers or subjects in which, as the name suggests, concurrent, both center and states together can make laws. That is why it is called concurrent. For example, it has 52 subjects: divorce, marriage, succession, inheritance, property, etc., etc., and other family matters. This comes within the concurrent list. You may have a question. Sir, when suppose the central government and state government wants to make law on any one issue, for example, the center wants to make a law on education and the states want to make a law on education, on a particular topic, what will happen then? Then it will create conflicts between the two. Suppose each of them are adamant to make a law on that. In this case, this situation came to be known as deadlock. In such a situation, the law of the center will prevail over the states. I mean, states has to back down. States have to withdraw. Means, with regard to the concurrent list, the central government enjoy more power than the states. After the division of power between states and center under these three lists, still some powers are left surplus. Those powers are called the residuary powers. And in India, those residuary powers are enjoyed by the central government in India. For example, the computer technology or the software technology. It was actually, in fact, when the constitution has been created, by the time this subject called computer or software technology was not existing by that time. So the subject could not be put into any list. That is why it was left that in case any future powers, any future subjects that comes, then it will be given to the central government and it will come under the residuary powers. Children, why do I feel that actually we need to know, is India completely a federal country? How many of you agree? I do not know. But we need to confirm and prove that is India is India exactly a same federal country as that of United States of America? Or little less or little more? Let's make a comparison. Often the political scientists, political theorists, political gurus and leaders and philosophers and critics criticize Indian Federation as half federal, half unitary. They often say that this is quasi-federal. Means India by spirit is unitary. By feature it is federal. In feature it is federal, but in spirit truly it is working like an unitary form of government. What does it mean? Means though India is a federal country, but often, very often, it acts and behaves like a unitary country. What does it mean? You know why? And how? Let's check. Let's do some theoretical check. Number one, see, in Indian Federation, central government enjoy more power than the states. You agree? I agree. Number two, means there is an unequal division of power in the center and states that is contrary to federal practice or federal features. One. Number two, India is a holding together federation. In a holding together federation, the central government always enjoy more power than the states. That exactly just we have discussed right now. Number two, states do not enjoy equal power with that of the state, the center. They are subservient, subordinate to the center. They cannot ignore directions, instructions, or any kind of modifications regarding anything. The central government can give instructions to the states and states cannot ignore them. Number three. Number four, this is something that actually you need to know what. The division of power among states is also not equal. Some states in India enjoy more power than the other states. While some units enjoy almost no power, very little power. For example, Jammu and Kashmir state enjoys special power under the Article 370, whereas the Union territories do not almost enjoy no power, because they are directly administered by the central government. You know, let's discuss about what are the special powers enjoyed by the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The constitution under Article 370 set aside some special powers rather for a constitution for the Jammu and Kashmir state of Jammu and Kashmir. The Jammu and Kashmir state will have its own constitution. Many of the provisions of the constitution cannot be applied to the state of Jammu and Kashmir unless it is approved by the state legislative assembly. Number three, you cannot, even a citizen of India, cannot from other parts of the country. I mean, any citizen of India who is a resident other than Jammu and Kashmir cannot buy property in the state of Jammu and Kashmir unless he is a permanent citizen or resident of that state. Whereas you can buy property, you can settle anywhere in any part of country except in Jammu and Kashmir. So now I am going to ask you a few questions. Can you please answer them? What do you understand about, how do you feel, or why do you think, or when do you think that the central government act like an umpire? And what is the exactly necessity of an independent and impartial judiciary in a federal structure, in a federal system? Can you tell me? Keep these questions ready. Second, why Indian Federation is criticized as quasi-federal, means half federal, half unitary. When Indian Federation or the state of India behaves like a unitary country, can you find out? Okay, this is the topic. Actually, we'll keep it here. We'll continue in the next class. The topic will continue in the next class. Right? Thank you very much, children. Thank you.